If you're trying to be more positive and it feels like life keeps knocking you down, take a walk with me. A long time ago, when I was struggling the most, I learned slash taught myself to wake up in the morning and make the statement, Dear God, show me how amazing today can be. Notice I'm not making any deals or begging for something to come true. God, if you would just make this relationship work. God, if you would just show me the money or give me that job. I'll never doubt your power, grace, and glory ever again. I want you to think of a time when you were granted access to those things, but you were unable to keep or maintain them. And it's oftentimes because you didn't feel worthy. You haven't done the work that was necessary to become the person that has the ability to create the space for those things to exist in your life. And because of those circumstances, you may find yourself asking yourself questions like, where did all these negative beliefs come from? And if you take a mental inventory, you just might begin to realize that you spent a lot of time alone as a kid. The household that you grew up in was inconsistent. There may have been a lot of peace, and as an adult, you look back on those past circumstances and say, my childhood was normal. We had dinner every night at 6 p.m. But when somebody asks you deeper questions about your childhood, you often struggle to give finer details. You recognize that there was periodic chaos. And from all those experiences, you created meaning from the age that you were at the time those things happened. And although you might not have the words to describe those experiences, you certainly have the thoughts, feelings, and emotions that are associated with that has acted like the primer for your nervous system. And the meaning that you gave can sound something like this: somebody's mad, so it's obviously my fault. I want you to know that it's not your fault, by the way. But you did discover that in some ways you could manage that experience. If I'm quiet, if I go to my room, if I don't show that I have needs, then nobody will punish me, nobody will bother me, and nobody can make you feel wrong for having emotions. Newsflash, your caregivers were most likely dysregulated. They were trying to deal with their own thoughts, feelings, emotions, problems, and issues, and didn't have the emotional capacity for any of yours. And if they did, it was often inconsistent. And it's really hard to stay positive when you don't feel supported by the people that are closest to you. And of course, this creates a strong distrust of others, but it also causes you to distrust your own discernment, a distrust of your own inner guidance system. And this is where people often ask the question of, well, how do I know if a relationship is right for me? What you begin to discover as you grow older and you have your own experiences is there's a lot of tools and skills that you missed out on. And it's never too late at any age to be able to develop those tools and skills. One of the biggest roadblocks to all of that is you're waiting for somebody else to swoop in and tell you what to do. And if that's what you're waiting for, you're going to be waiting for the rest of your life. This is why I always encourage people to read a book, take notes, and then start deploying in your real life, in real time, the things that you've learned from those books. As you do that and you start having these little wins over long periods of time, you begin to build up your self-worth and you begin to trust yourself. And eventually, you learn to trust yourself enough to call out bullshit when you see it. So when you wake up in the morning and you ask God to show you how amazing today can be, it actually means, Dear God, please open my eyes so I can see all the things that I have been blind to in my environment. Grant me access to happiness, joy, peace, and love. And when you begin to identify these things in your environment, you actually start to stretch your nervous system. You start creating a greater capacity for uncertainty. You're also creating a greater capacity to give and receive love. Receiving part is usually the hardest part for most people. You have to allow for others to reciprocate that back to you and then to not question it, that it's somehow bad or wrong. When you start identifying happiness, peace, love, and joy, I want you to stop. Observe your environment. Listen to what's going on around you. Take a deep breath in and be thankful for this moment. You can snap your fingers and anchor these thoughts, feelings, and emotions in to your body. As you allow yourself to sit in the discomfort of those experiences, it starts to become a part of who you are. Happiness, peace, love, and joy is no longer something foreign to you. So it's not about being positive, it's about being grateful. Being grateful for who you are, where you are and who you're becoming, and for all the things that have led you to this moment.